So good afternoon. The Arts Council for Monterey County welcomes you to our weekly online segment, Artist Spotlight. I am Karen Lee Garcia, the Programs Director at the Arts Council for Monterey County. And today I am so pleased to welcome local artist and founder of Open Ground Studios in Seaside, Denise Sanders. And I'm going to read a little bio of all of her accomplishments. So Denise Sanders began her career in printmaking as an undergraduate in 1982 at UW-Madison, furthered her training in Paris, France at Atelier 17, and received her Master of Fine Arts degree in 1998 from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. In 2003, Sanders relocated to California from Minneapolis, Minnesota, where she continues her work as an educator, artist, and the founder of Open Ground Studios, a visual arts and printmaking studio in Seaside that provides access, opportunities, and connection for creative adults, teens, and emerging and professional artists. Over the course of her career, she has worked extensively in arts education and community building in the arts, both in Minnesota and California. Her leadership through Open Ground Studios has landed her several awards, including Innovator of the Year with the Startup Challenge in 2013. In 2015, she won the Community Palette Showcase event. And in 2019, our organization honored her with the Champions of the Arts Award. Her work has been exhibited throughout California and the Midwest. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome, Denise. Thank you. And hi. We're live.
We're live. Oh my gosh. I gotta hit you on my screen here.
So I wanted to start today for our audience and just hear just a brief history of the need that you responded to in Seaside to open up a studio space for artists.
Sure. It was about 8 years ago or 9 years ago that the California State Legislature was negotiating no repeatability for the community colleges throughout our state. And I work there. I teach printmaking and drawing and a variety of things. And so I knew that a lot of the adult students weren't going to be able to have access to those classes anymore. And I also may not have had a job anymore based on, limited availability. And so that combined with some of my adult students at the time, it was actually 8 years ago this spring, that they took me out for margaritas and said, we think we need a community studio and we think you're the one to do it. That's a long story. And they supported it. We met, we talked about it, we found some spaces. And I had done a studio. I had opened a studio in Minneapolis in 1989 called Below the Surface Printmakers Atelier. Hi, my Minneapolis friends, in case you're there.
I love the name of your
yeah, Below the Surface.
Hey.
I had that for 10 years, and it was the first community studio that I ever built. I have built like 4 of them now in my adult life. But I didn't know if I really wanted to go into it again because it's a lot of work. But I also, from the time I moved here in 2003, it took me a really long time to feel really connected to other artists. Every time I'd go to studio tours, I would hope to find like a collective of artists somewhere in one studio, and I would find people in their houses and in their garages. And I kept thinking, there's got to be a place. There's just got to be a place. And it was really hard for me to get connected, to feel like I had my tribe of artists around me. So those two things joined together, which allowed me to say, I can do this. I think I need to do this.
Right.
And so, yeah. And then when we put it out there, the studio really was built by and built for the community.
And you definitely have that. I feel that vibe as soon as you walk into your space. And I do want to show our audience just a brief snippet. This is from your 7-year anniversary video of what this space looks like. So if they haven't been there ever or in a while, it's good to kind of get this reminder of the space that they'll be able to see hopefully in the near future.
Right. And we just moved around all the furniture the day we had to shelter in place. So nobody's been in there to see it.
So this is all new.
It's all new. Nobody's really been working in there.
No one's been there. So I'm going to just briefly show this. I'm going to share my screen.
going to beat all the other different configurations we've had of the studio since we opened in 2013. A breadth of room to expand any idea that you want to have. We work together as a community. We work independently of each other. And right now the studio is quiet. The Artist Collective is made up of 15 artists ages 26 to 81. Our 2,000 square foot studio allows for communal space for our co-op members, and we've got 7 dedicated spaces for individual artists, 2 of which will become vacant on June 1st. And we closed our doors on March 17th, sending all the artists home packing.
That's such a beautiful video, to the point where I was, we received at the Arts Council, we received your newsletter, and I clicked on your video and I immediately stopped like 3 minutes in and was like, oh my gosh, I've been to your space several times, but the way that you represented your studio in your 7-year anniversary. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what motivated you to create the video, what you were planning on doing for your 7-year anniversary, and what the future looks like. What the community reaction has been to this video.
Yeah, so this is actually something that this whole shelter in place thing has started to help all of us look deeper. And I think the thing that has hit me about it, because of this video that I was able to do it, is that when you put something in motion, motion follows. Mm-hmm. And it needed to happen. And I had no anticipation of doing that. I don't make videos. It's not something I know how to do, but I was teaching at the community college and my book arts class had to go online like that. So I immediately got, for the first 2 weeks, I had to teach my class online. And so in doing that, I felt like I needed to learn how to create some videos for my demos. So my husband sat down and worked with me a little bit on iMovie, and I had done it once a long time ago, a little bit. And so I started making small little videos of my hands-on book stuff. And then I started making masks, and I realized that, okay, I actually can do these videos now. And the Monterey Museum of Art opened a new program similar. All of our community is coming up with new ways to share and new ways to be seen and to be out there. And they have a program called virtual MMA, and they wanted to spotlight open ground studios. And I said, oh, I can whip together a little video for that. 5 weeks later, I was like, oh my God. So yeah, I learned how to do iMovie, so that was really exciting. But what was a part of it too is that I didn't realize that I knew immediately I would interview the artists. Let's find out what you're doing while you're sheltering in place, and let's see how you feel about the studio, and we can get this kind of be a promotional thing. Well, once I interviewed the artists, I was floored at their answers. I had no idea that they felt the way they did about the studio. And I also interviewed some community members who have been students, who are advisors, who are our instructors. So I get kind of a circular global view on what people think about OGS. And once I had the interviews, I knew this had to be a meaningful video. And prior to that, we had planned on having an exhibition in May. We always have an opening reception exhibition in May, and we would celebrate the reconfiguration of the studio and introduce our new pop-up gallery program that I'll tell you about later.
Right.
But that didn't come into fruition because I could tell in end of February things were going to be changing, and I kind of stopped planning it because I didn't know what was going to happen. and so sent off the video to the museum for them to launch on Facebook. And then I've been sharing it, and I realized that I really need that. That was my energy towards our 7th anniversary. And it actually allows the artist to speak about the studio rather than me, that I'm usually the one that has to talk about it. And it was a labor of love, and it has really invigorated our community to think about what does it mean to have a community art studio like this in our town.
And what was one of your most like surprising reactions that you were kind of overwhelmed by or just surprised by?
I'm gonna cry. I have a couple of quotes here. I've got a few. First of all, we've probably gotten about 15 new members or reignited members from the video and the promotion of it, which is really one of the core things that we need, is to have people really invest in the studio by becoming a member. And it can be a supporting member, $40 a year or up. And their donations, I got a very generous donation. I got several very generous donations, and with those donations, I got beautiful emails. One, and then I also have been getting a couple more emails that I think it's people are realizing during this time that is just so surreal how important things are that they may have taken for granted, and that they're willing more to share affirmations and to share beautiful comments. So for instance, on Mother's Day, I have to say one of my interns sent me a text message, and I just love this girl. She's actually an intern from Monterey Peninsula College. "You've made such a huge impact on my life and have become like a mother to me. You're fierce and inspiring."
Oh my gosh.
I got another, I also, a lovely art teacher at the Monterey High School, Lauren, had sent me an email when she saw the video, and she immediately wanted to help. She had no idea that there could be any problems at all. And she wrote and said, "You are all such a huge inspiration to the young artists in our community. This community needs you, and we are here for you." And that's from the AMP Academy at the Monterey High School.
That's so, yeah, that's so nice that.
Like, I didn't realize, I mean, we've done a lot of mentorships through their program, and it's a pleasure for me to work with high school students who are really motivated and want to make art. And then another email came to me that was from a mother from one of our younger artists. She said, "She has thrived as an artist, and we are amazed at how much confidence and knowledge she has gained under your tutelage."
Mm.
So these are things that, again, it's always great to hear stuff like that. There's no doubt about it. But it's really amazing when people will show up when it's needed, and not only show up with money, but to show up with a heartfelt message that says, in fact, another artist who's a student, she's never joined the studio, but she's been a regular student of ours. She was so moved by the video, she wrote a nice email and she donated to the studio, and she said, "I never in my life had I thought I would be surrounded by or be part of an art community like I am, and I never in my wildest dreams."
Right.
So that right there speaks to my dream when I opened the studio, because I didn't have it when I moved to Monterey.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get that. I tried. I worked my way slowly, and I got, I made friends. I was raising 2 young girls at the time, and so a lot of my work was dealing with them in school, and I had a job up in San Jose because I couldn't find an art-based job here in Monterey. So for 4 years, I commuted up there.
Oh, wow, that is a labor right there.
It was a labor, yeah.
Yeah, but so it kind of sounds you're having, or you probably have felt this, but it sounds to me like a full circle moment where you're, reflecting on your anniversary of your studio space and remembering those conversations that rooted this idea. And I would like to share just briefly from the video community reactions that were a part of this conversation. So let me get to that. Let me quickly share my screen again. Sorry about that, audience. And here we go.
It makes me alive, I believe. It was a way for me to get back into painting again, to see the if I had anything left in the tank. I think when OGS started, I was picturing, oh, that's cool. People are going to do etchings there. The way that it's grown and the many different risks that you've taken there to branch out and bring different, more edgy work to our community.
A sense of activism and bringing the community together to create art that reacts to things that are happening in our community, but in the broader world as well.
And I love hearing from the artists directly. I think that's so important. And they mentioned like the woman, I don't know her name, but she said to see if I have anything left in the tank. And I wanted to ask, as an artist, why would an artist have a need to go to a separate space, to a separate studio?
That is a great question, and I think, and this is something that I've learned so much in the 7 years of working around these other artists. I have a studio. I can have a studio at home. I mean, this is what I'm doing temporarily while I'm here. But I have personally grown more in the last 5 years than I have, actually the last 3, because I've been focused more on my artwork than I was the first 5. Just that was a lot of work. But I have grown more as an artist because I have other artists around me. It's like you can't play tennis and get better at tennis if you never play tennis with somebody who's better than you, right? You can, limp along. And I'm not saying that people can't grow and become incredibly powerful artists in their own studios without impact of other people. But most artists that don't have a space where other people come on a daily or weekly basis, they're artists who want it. I know several artists in town who have studio spaces of their own, and they do come to OGS because they want to be part of the community that's there, because they need to have some input. They need to have someone shoring them up when they don't have the confidence to move in a different direction. They may not have, we all get into slumps from time to time. Sometimes we sit and we look at what we're doing and we think, who the hell cares? Nobody's knocking on my door saying, oh, by the way, have you worked on that thing today?
Right.
They're not. But when you have a studio at home and no interaction with any other artists about what's happening in that space of yours, it becomes an internal dialogue rather than a internal external exchange. And sometimes you can get the most amazing shifts in your thinking pattern by a very strange, very minor offhanded comment when someone's walking by.
Right.
And they say, in fact, one of our members, Alyssa Endo, who is a printmaker, also 4 years ago, I was doing a show at MPC and I was working on this wood block, and every single print looked different, and it was frustrating me to no end. And I had them all up on the wall going, oh my God, why is this happening? And I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And she said, well, aren't you going to display it like that? And she walked away in a happy, merry way. And I was like, huh.
Wow.
And then it started making me think about the multiplicity of what the work was and how it actually could interact with each other as more than one print. All of those things come to play. And I think almost all artists will tell you that they have to have some kind of interaction with other artists to expand on what they're doing.
Right.
And I will tell you one more thing, because I have been a printmaker my whole life, ever since I was in my early 20s. And I started the studio with printmaking in mind as the core base of it. And it took switching up the studio and me really struggling because I was really wanting to paint and I had no confidence. I used to paint when I was in high school, and I used to paint when I was in college a long time ago, but the people in the studio gave me permission.
Right.
It didn't take one set of permission. It took months and months of people telling me, you can do this. Like my cheerleaders saying, it's okay, just because you've identified your whole life as a printmaker,
you can make the switch.
My heart was kind of going, can I be someone if I'm not a printmaker in the arts? Can I actually say I'm not printing and I'm gonna paint?
Right.
And I don't know how to hold hand brushes or brushes, but I'm going to do it. And they cheered me on the entire time. And now I can't tell you how different my life is as an artist because I'm painting.
Well, let's segue into that, because I want to hear during this time how, as an artist, how are you staying motivated right now? What are you working on at this moment?
That video took a heck of a lot of time.
We'll make it brief. We may have to have a part 2 for this session.
Yeah, it's fine. Prior to the shutdown, in the last year and a half, I've been working with an artist collective called Critical Ground. It's 3 other women artists that are local here. And we've been partnering with the Monterey Museum of Art and the Fund for Homeless Women doing artist work. And we, the 4 women, got together and for 6 months created a curriculum that we could do with 3 different shelters or 3 different services for women without shelter. So we ultimately created and delivered 20 of the 21 workshops that we were doing at 3 different locations. And the last set of workshops ended a week before, right when shelter in place happened. And so we had gotten to know about 50 different women, and the goal of the project was to help bring arts and creativity to them in a variety of different methods, but also for us to get to know what their struggles are and who they are and what the services are available to them. Mm-hmm. And at the end of that, we're creating artwork. The 4 artists are creating artwork that will be exhibited at the Monterey Museum of Art this fall.
Right.
And we are also going to be doing collaborative work with some of the pieces that the women made for us. And so it's been there's a lot of ups and downs with this process. And it was really heartbreaking for us to not be able to have our closing session with the women we had been working with. We're all super worried about them right now. Mm-hmm. Where do they shelter?
Right.
How are they being cared for? And so the piece, I've been working on a really large scale portrait of one of the women, but this is something that I'm working on right now. I've got a series of these that's going to be in the show.
That's such a powerful piece. I mean, I want to know the story behind who is this woman, and
well, she's real, and and the reason why I'm doing this. These are women who don't feel seen, mm-hmm. don't feel understood, and yet at the same time they feel looked at, right, all the time and judged. And so it's a really tenuous thing to be able to have them visually represented. And so I'm working hard to create paintings that will show some of their emotion and strength. And the show title that we have is Courage Within, Women Without Shelter, because all of these women they're so courageous to wake up every morning,
right,
go about their lives. So that's what I've been doing,
mm-hmm.
along with making masks out of artwork.
Those are very nice masks.
That was one of a woodcut. My daughter said to me when I said, I'm going to make masks for my whole family because I know we're going to have to be wearing them soon enough. Right. And I knew my daughter said, well, make mine funky. And I was like, funky? Oh, well, then I guess I can cut up some artwork that I've made on muslin, and I've made over 50 masks for friends and family from around the country.
You said over 50? Wow.
Yeah, my arthritis in my thumb can't handle it anymore, but it was nice.
I bet they all appreciate it. And
we feel very styling when we're wearing art masks.
Oh, it's true. It's true. I know. I would ask for one, but I'm gonna hold off. I wish I could. Oh, maybe a few months from now. Yeah. So I want to hear from you, from the studio perspective, what is the current programming that's going on? I know we all have had to adjust, and one of your words is shape shift. So as creative, this is just a natural process for us. We haven't gone through a crisis of this magnitude, but right. Things have happened along the way. And what's going on with OGES?
Well, thanks for asking. And Karen, you're right. We are creative souls. And I think that's one of the beauties about having artists in a community. We make creative problem solving like every day of our lives. So when we're stuck with a crisis like this, we have to be creative about solving the problem.
Right.
So right now, all the artists are working from home. We had right now also, as of yesterday, given the new announcements in California, some businesses can start reopening. And so my plan is to probably by the end of this week, even early next week, I'll have the studio sort of scrubbed down again for another time. I mean, we've gone in there a few times to do a couple of different things that we needed to do. Like we made a big banner for the CHOMP, the hospital in town.
Well, that's wonderful.
Because they had made a call out to anyone who wanted to give thank you notes and cards and artwork to the hospital. And I was like, well, we can do more than that. Let's make a big fat banner. So
that's amazing.
Artists came in for about a week and a half at different times. So we juggled it. We sort of handed the baton wearing our masks, and the banner was up on the wall. So we got to do that.
Where's the banner now? Where is it in the main hospital?
In the hospital, in a hallway that apparently is trafficked by about 200 staff, doctors, nurses.
Okay.
In the hospital. It's kind of leading to the staff cafeteria, I guess. And community members are invited to send artwork and handmade cards, and they're plastering all over the walls and into the break room because they were feeling they needed some moral support.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So we've done that. And if you watch the video, you'll hear some of the artists talk about what they've been doing while they've been sheltering in place. But our next steps, we've been also immediately transitioned our education program online. And so Paul Richmond has been teaching a Monday night class in person, but we switched it, and now he's teaching it on Zoom. And luckily, we've been able to maintain that class with relatively good numbers of students. And Paul is a super energetic, adoring, loving man, and he is like one of the most talented artists I've ever met.
He's amazing.
He's amazing. You know, you'll have him on the spotlight in no time.
We're doing so much with him. I'm like, Paul, are you sure? Every time I ask him a question.
I mean, he doesn't sleep. I don't know.
I don't think so.
So we are building our online opportunities for this summer as well. So this Saturday, just coming up this Saturday, Paul's teaching a 3-hour workshop in portrait drawing. And we've got a figure drawing next Saturday and another figure drawing the following Saturday. And we've hired 3 locals, my daughter and a good friend, one of our studio mates' daughter, and another friend of ours that my daughter grew up with are all the models. And we're splitting the income between the artist, the studio, and the model. So
we'll be sure that we'll be sure to post your website to make sure that everyone knows that these classes are up.
And
new ones are coming, ongoing. So
they're ongoing and interactive. And so Paul's Monday night class, the new one June starts next week, so you can sign up for that. And then the summer program, I'm reigniting a class that I ran for about 2 years at the studio called Desert Spring, The Well Within. And it's a class that is geared towards women who want to get into a more focused flow of making their artwork at home. Obviously, if we can ever go back into the studio, we will as a class environment. But right now, I'll be doing that on Zoom, where I help people understand how to create sacred space for their art making practice. I'll be showing hands-on demonstrations depending on what art form they're using. So it could be any visual art form between, book arts, printmaking, painting, drawing. If you've got the space at home or wherever you're working, that'll be for that. Plus, Jonathan Wolf, who's one of our founding members, he's going to be teaching a Photoshop class this summer as well. And I'm going to have a few other book arts classes this summer. So we've got a schedule. It hopefully should be out by next week. And it's all interactive. So don't worry, it'll be fun.
I need to sign up for the Photoshop
yeah. Oh, right.
class.
Yeah.
It's been one of those things on my list of things to do. So that's
one other thing that we're going to do, and I'm super excited about this. I don't know if it'll be in person or will be online. I'd like it to be both, actually. I've been teaching book arts at MPC this semester, and I just have to send a huge shout out to my students, who are just some of the most amazing women I've ever met. And the class has become just this bond because we've stuck with it. And they have created some of the most interesting artist books of any students I've ever had. And I just am so proud of the books that they've done, the hard work that they've gone into. And this new format actually allowed us to kind of go deeper than wide. And so they've been thinking really deeply about the meaning of art and how to make meaning out of the work that they're doing. So we're going to have a pop-up exhibition for their artist books at the end of June, I'm hoping. And it'll hopefully be in person, and we'll also do something online with it, because you've got to see these books.
I want to see them. I want to see them. That sounds amazing. And I mean, as we know, you have a lot going on, and it's continuing. So it's good to hear that. And I do know you mentioned, at least in the video, it mentioned that you have some openings at Open Ground Studios. So do you want to mention a little bit about that?
Yes, I need to. So our studio is over 2,000 square feet, and we have 7 dedicated spaces for artists, and then 2 large shared spaces for co-op members. And we have 3 spaces now that are, as of today, one of our founding members who's been here for 7 years is moving, retiring in Southern California. And so her space is becoming available, and we can't even have a going away party for her.
Oh my gosh.
I know, it's really sad. And then Paul Richmond is moving out of his space this week as well, because he now has a space at his home, and he's had some changes in his whole life that are requiring him to do that. He's still going to continue teaching. He might join us as a co-op member as things sort of settle. And we have another member who is leaving because of COVID-19. So we have 3 dedicated spaces, and we need to fill them.
Right.
I mean, if you've ever thought about having a studio of your own at Open Ground Studios, now's the time. We also have a lot of room for co-op members, and we are reopening. Mm-hmm. And so we're not reopening to the public, just to the artists. And we will have some protocols. I'm doing a lot of research on COVID-19 industry guidance through OSHA in California. And we absolutely have the space to enable artists to come back and work in a I think a quite safe way. And it'll be nice. I can't wait to be able to come back into the space and have artists. And so co-op membership is $150 a month. And we are doing some sliding scale work during this pandemic, as well as the really great news is I negotiated a rent reduction with my landlord. And I got to tell you, people say when you're going to open a business or an organization that location matters.
Right.
Landlord also matters.
Oh, that is huge.
Great guy. He's always shown up for us when we need things, and he's been really worried also. And so we're working together on that. And I can defer some of those discounts to the artists as well to try to make ends meet. And so if we're going to make it to our 8th anniversary, we need 3 things. Can I tell you what they are?
Absolutely.
We need artists.
Right.
We need artists to come and work with us, because our programming is all about working with artists, and the energy begets energy with other artists. So that's one thing we need. So if you're an artist out there and you have a space at home, but you might want to try it, now's a really great time to try it. We'll also be offering some summer discounts, I think, as well. If you are a community member and you really love what we're doing, just join us. Join us as a supporting member at any amount that works with your budget. And that helps keep us afloat. It helps deal with our operational expenses. And then finally, what was the 3rd thing? Take a class. Make our education program flourish. And as you'll see, from Stacy in the video that said, she needed to know if she had anything left in the tank. She has been exhibiting her artwork all over the state in the last 2 years, and her work has just, I can't believe she just came back into her creative life in the last few years. And it's wonderful that she's had a support system to make that happen.
Absolutely important. So it's crucial. So, and especially right now, because we've all been sheltering in place, to know that you have an opportunity down the road shortly to come together as a community safely, social distancing. I think it's definitely important. And I want to hear how they can get in touch with you. So where can we find you online?
opengroundstudios.com. Pretty easy peasy.
There you go.
Follow us. You can also follow us on Facebook. You can also follow me, Denise Sanders, on Facebook and Instagram. We have an Open Ground Studios Instagram, and I'm denise.sanders.art at Instagram. But on our website, you can go to the support give section, and that'll kind of show you where things are there. You can see the video again. You can also go to our education program and you'll see drop downs, and then join. There is the studio access area if you're an artist and you want to kind of learn more about that. My email address is info@opengroundstudios.com. So send me an email, we'll get in touch. You can get a tour of the studio.
Comment on this live feed, and we will follow up with you and point you in the right direction. So I want to say thank you so much, Denise, for joining us today. I appreciate your time so much, to see your face and to see your lovely studio, your home studio right now. And I cannot wait to come and celebrate with you at Open Ground Studios in the very near future. So thank you so much for your time.
And thanks for having me, Karen. And the Arts Council, I've got to thank you so much to the Arts Council for the grants that helped fund the women's project that we did. And I got an artist support grant for COVID-19, and I appreciate that. And just the fact that you all are so active at getting the word out that artists are here, they're doing excellent work. Visit their website, visit their Facebook page, look at all these videos, because you'll be surprised at how awesome our community is. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I want to say stay tuned for another Artist Spotlight next Wednesday at noon, and be sure to comment and share. And if you or your arts organization is interested in being featured on our Artist Spotlight segment, please email us at info@arts4mc.org. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.